Guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. And woke up this morning to receive footage and information from Rebel Mama Khadija up in the north, a new fire situation, basically, to share with you, and an update from Owen in Leiria this morning. Forgive me for getting straight into it, but we have quite a serious situation here in Portugal. Our main concern, of course, is to make sure that everybody's safe, starting with our community here and then extending outwards, of course, to everybody here in Portugal to make sure everybody is safe and well, that they're alert, that they're prepared, and that they are safe. And this seems to be quite a good platform for making sure that we can check in with each other in the morning and make sure everything's okay and update on what's going on. So thank you to Gary, who started the ball rolling at the weekend with some footage that you can see on our YouTube channel. From the Alvaiazara area. And if you watched Portuguese television yesterday, as I was in having a meeting yesterday with Jerry and Astrid, and we were in a hotel lobby, and the pictures from Portuguese TV were continuously showing footage from the Alvaiazara blazes, and that situation seemed to calm and then erupt again, and then calm and erupt again. I think that is in resolution now. We will look at the fogos.pt website, but then our attention turned yesterday evening to Owen and Leiria, and the balcony where Owen is in Leiria, the smoke just beyond the city. We posted a video on our YouTube channel last night that I think 2,000 people around the world have viewed, wanting to keep in touch, wanting to know what's going on here in Portugal. We'll have Owen on the phone as well. I'll show you that video in just a moment, and Owen will call in with his latest footage and a report about what's going on over there in Leiria, specifically the area of the blaze there. And I think there were two epicenters, if you like, or two blaze hotspots. One of them was Caranguajeira. And I'm not sure about the other one, but we can find out from Owen with that, and we can have a look at the fogos.pt website. News from Gary this morning is that, he's given us a link to a new site that I'll share with you so that you can stay in touch with what's going on. That's the EFIS site, Forestry, Forest Database, Forest Fires, and European Forest Policies website that seems to be producing some useful information for people. Gary shared that with us. His report this morning is, fortunately, the great ramparts of the Serra da Alvaiazara have protected us until now. Fingers crossed, because the Bombeiros are now getting so stretched and exhausted that they are now losing a lot more properties. So up until now, the Bombeiros are doing an amazing job, but they're getting tired and they need our support and help with supplies. And they are stretched across the country. When you look at the amount of human power on the ground, it's quite extraordinary. The amount of volunteers that are busy at work, putting blazes out, moving elsewhere to extinguish something reignites, and there are hundreds of men and women in the volunteer force of the Bombeiros around Portugal, just going to where the blazes are, putting them out, and then being taken somewhere else, it would seem. And I know in the Algarve this morning as well, there are some blazes too. What I'll do is let me give you the big picture on that. And I'm sure those of you who are tuned in around the world will bear with us on this, because we need to make sure that the folks immediately here in Portugal are safe and well and updated on what's going on. And so let's have a look at the big picture of Portugal using fogos.pt, which seems to, for the moment, have crashed my browser. But no, here we go. We're back again with me adding to this to the screen now. Okay, there you go. Fogos.pt, great resource. This is what you really must have on your phone, or you can look at it on a browser as I'm doing now, which will tell you what's going on here in Portugal. And as you can see there, yeah, absolutely. In down in the south, there's a major blaze going on, and this is where we were looking in the last few days in central Portugal. If I zoom in, if I zoom in there, you'll see that the this major blaze, the one for this to the west, it was the real problem over the weekend in the last few days. Now in blue because it's in resolution. And if we come towards the east, this is the one. Oh, I got Owen on the phone now, so let's answer the phone to Owen. If my kit will let me do that. Hey, Owen. Good morning to you, my friend.
Morning, Carl. Morning, Carl.
Morning,
doing the voice call this morning because doing the video call on this phone isn't really good.
Okay, fair
play. But I can see that you've got the map on there. But the first, the larger, the first of the two fires this morning seems to be dampened down. There isn't a lot of smoke in the air, as I sent the video to you this morning.
Yeah.
And also the second fire as well. That seems to be calmed down a lot. The air is still quite thick. In fact, I think about 4:30 this morning, I had to actually, because it was a warm night, obviously, I left the windows open, but they was closed at 4:30 because I was coughing with the smell of the smoke.
Really?
But the first fire, I know that there's 353 firemen there and 107 appliances. The second one, I'm not too sure on the details with that one there, but obviously you've got the photographs there on screen.
Yeah, we're looking at that right now, as you say. Yeah, give or take 350. I mean, that's an amazing amount of operatives, isn't it? Of people there and vehicles. But that's not the only blaze that's going on in Portugal at the moment. So shout out again to the Bombeiros. It's amazing what they're doing.
Absolutely. And I'll just reiterate what you said the other day is that if anybody can pop along to the local Bombeiros station and if they can kindly donate any sort of water or anything like that, just to help the firemen there, because as we all know, it is a voluntary service. So,
yeah,
it's well deserved. And as I was saying yesterday, this just brings back 2017 memories for myself, because I was evacuated twice during 2017. So my heart goes out to anybody, that is experiencing this, at close hand.
Yeah. And you reminded everybody with that the importance of having a grab bag. 2017, the worst fires in living memory, of course, for Portugal. And you're taken right back to that and the importance of having some supplies ready. What goes in that bag? Tell us more about that. That needs to be by the door and ready. What do you put in there?
I put in a change of clothes, light clothes. Obviously some food just to keep you going, because you don't know how long, if you are evacuated, how much you'll need. So take some food along there with you, and just the essentials, nothing, just something that you would take with you if you was going away on a weekend break, let's just say. Because you don't know how long you're going to be away from your property if you are evacuated. But just make sure you've got the essential things there, the necessary things.
Yes.
And perhaps maybe a little first aid box if you have one.
Yeah, you can get those mini first aid kits, can't you? Perhaps a torch in there as well, and water. Water, of course.
Absolutely. Because although we've dropped 1 degree here today in Portugal, it's been in Leiria, it's forecast to be 40 degrees today here.
Is it really? Okay, so that's
going to be another warm one.
Yeah. So, have you been given any warnings from the government? I mean, I know you can sign up with Fogwash.pt. How's that working?
Definitely. From what I can believe, somebody might be able to confirm this for me, is that I think all Portuguese phone numbers have are automatically sent these that are sent these emergency alerts on your phone. I've received another one yet this morning. I haven't had time to read it because I wanted to get up and film the report for you. But certainly it gives you the advice, obviously, and definitely no barbecues and things like that to be lit. So that they do send out warnings. So I would say that anybody that doesn't have a Portuguese phone and is here now to get one, or at least find out where you can find this information from. And as you say, that there are a couple of sites apart from just Fogwash.pt. I know that Gary handed you one there as well. And just to keep your eye online, for this and be vigilant when you're out as well. Be vigilant when you're out driving.
Yes, indeed, because and to report any blazes you see, 112. People are being asked to report those. The sooner the better, so that they can get that put out ASAP. Owen, we'll show you a video from last night and the situation from this morning. So thank you very much for capturing that for us and for letting us know what's going on in Leiria. Anyone else, please do the same. Rebel Mama's done that. We've got a couple of pickies from Rebel Mama too, and a report from up there. Could you let us know exactly, Rebel Mama, what the location of that fire, so people can know to avoid that part of the world as well, certainly for the time being. Owen, thanks, mate. I mean, feel free to call in again. You know, we're here till 10 o'clock, so if there's anything else to tell us to do, give us a buzz.
Will do. Okay,
mate, thanks for that.
Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye now.
There goes Owen then, and we will come to your comments as well in just a moment. That's a good shout there, Pete, with milk, because I wasn't quite sure. People were saying take milk to the Bombeiros, and I was thinking that's kind of strange, but it does make sense. Owen, drinking milk helps with smoke inhalation, so that's for Owen, a tip there with the actual smell of, the acrid smell of smoke coming through when you want to keep the windows open because you want to keep cool, but you're so near to a fire site that you can actually smell it and taste it in the air, and you want to be shutting your windows, and drinking milk can help with smoke inhalation there. And another thing to take to the Bombeiros alongside the energy bars, the water, bottles of water, socks, I believe as well. I suppose if they get their feet wet, they want to be able to change their socks and stay dry in that way too. So common sense, the things that you might need, and I guess once you've been there once, to drop off any supplies to the Bombeiros, and obviously keep out of the way of the action, maybe to the station, not to the front line. They'll be telling you what they need for your second or third visits there, should you be going back. Okay, thank you for that, Pete. Andy in the Bairrada region. Hola, bon dia. Smells a bit smoky this morning. Nothing on the Fogos site so far. Prayers to those affected and those brave firemen. Yes, of course. Thank you very much for that, Andy. And let me then just share with you quickly Rebel Mama's pictures from last night and her report. Thank you, Khadija, for this. Where are we? I've got so many pictures on the picture deck this morning. Good news as well. You were helping out with Valverde, the situation they've got with their broken pump in the Alentejo region. So I've got some lovely pictures of the animals there, which I will share with you later on. Now, where are we with Khadija, Rebel Mama's pictures? I think there you go. There's the picture this morning of smoke in the valley beyond Khadija's home there. And it would be good to have a reference point. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head, Rebel Mama, where it is that you live. But last night, that's how it was looking. And that to me just looks terrifying to in the evening. We just feel more vulnerable at night, don't we? Us human beings in the dark. And there in that same valley, you can see the blaze in the distance, and there it is, still smoking this morning. Rebel Mama says about that, if I find the report from you that I woke up to this morning. Thank you for sharing that with me. Do really appreciate it. Where are we though? Struggling to find it. We have Dougie joining us later on, about 9:15. It is Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday. So we'll come back to the fire situation if there's anything that we do need to report. But Dougie and I will be lightening the mood somewhat with any questions you've got about living life in Portugal based on his experience and his love of Portugal, and as a correspondent for the Portugal News. Okay, Rebel Mama then. This is what I woke up to this morning. And the pictures that you see there, or the picture that you see there, and the nighttime picture before it. And it's fine now, says Rebel Mama. It was scary, but the wind was in our favor and blowing the opposite way, which probably helped save the village over there. The wind seemed to be pushing the fire up the mountain and behind the village. What a terrible situation. This morning then, across the river, that's the view you can see. 73 Bombeiros on that and 22 trucks. No planes were needed for that, or maybe they were busy elsewhere, right? Last night, the fire broke out around 11:30, and within an hour, just took over across the Rio Lima from us, and luckily the wind was blowing away from us. And you're very kindly asking about the situation around the rest of the country, and I think we've updated you there, Rebel Mama Khadija. Thank you for those pictures. Yeah, there it is this morning, and that's how it was last night. Let me share with you then what was happening in Leiria, and the somewhat better news that it's in resolution now, but this is what was going on for Owen yesterday.
So today's date, 12th of July 2022. This is Leiria, Portugal, and you can see the big smoke there. hope it doesn't build. I'm a bit concerned about the area there, which is quite red because it causes its own thunderstorms. For those of us in Portugal, I'll put a report on as we are spreading the news between us all. But yeah, that's another one of girls. The cloud reaches all the way across, and you can actually smell it in the air as well. But yes, for those of you in the Leiria area, stay safe. Hope everything's okay. Hiya Carl, just recorded another one because it's actually spread big time. I'll send you that video now. So as I reported to you earlier, we had the fire going there, and if I pan round to here, you can actually see another fire which has just started in this area here. So from the original, I said started there, we now have a separate one that's just started here.
Terrifying there when you can see actually the flames beyond the buildings there. This is how it looked this morning. Thank you again to Owen for this. And as you heard from Owen when he was live on the phone, I don't think there's any vocal on this in the audio track, but the sky's cleared somewhat, but still looking very smoky there in the Leiria skyline. Oh, and we found out where Khadija Rebel Mama is living, where those photographs came from last night. That is the Peneda Gerês part of Portugal up there in the north. Location Peneda Gerês. So you would need to drive up here into the national park. The towns are Cidadélia and Mosteiro, 1 hour northeast of Braga there for Rebel Mama's location. And the pictures that I showed you previously. This is the Leiria skyline this morning in Leiria. So thank goodness that one's resolved. That was very dramatic yesterday. I think the attention's turning to the south now today, with quite a big blaze developing there on fogos.pt. So do download that. Do be aware of what's going on. I guess we're all about the slogans at the moment, aren't we? Keeping things simple, but it is be alert, be prepared, and stay safe. I think is probably what we can distill it down to. And Owen is correct, says Cindy B, about the Portuguese phone alerts. I hadn't signed up, and I got a text on Monday. So thank you for clarifying that. You will be told, and I suspect they will use the same mechanism to tell you if you need to evacuate, because we have gone from a situation of great containment thanks to the Bombeiros, but there are some reports of losses of property now, and people being evacuated. I think I heard of a few hundred people being evacuated close to that earlier blaze that Garvo captured for us. So there are some evacuations as well. So best to, of course, as I keep saying, to stay alert and be prepared should that eventuality come your way. Okay, we'll return to that as and when needed and as and when useful. Mark Twain quote of the day after a bon dia campus, a Feliz Carta Todos, the James the Banana Slug, with a Mark Twain quote of the day. Really enjoyed actually seeing some of the speeches at Jon Stewart's award ceremony. Jon Stewart received the Mark Twain Award, I think, just recently, and all of many top US comics were paying tribute to Jon Stewart, and some pretty cool routines in among all that lot. I think he had tributes from about 8 top comics. Comedians in the US, well worth a watch. That is just the way with some people, said Mark Twain. They get down on a thing when they don't know nothing about it. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Yes, I guilty as charged there. Somebody called me a hypocrite recently. Come on, who isn't? And who doesn't talk out of other orifices other than their mouth occasionally? But it's quite true. Thank you for that Mark Twain quote of the day. We'll come back to the Portuguese sayings that T-Duck has shared with us, who's left early today on the way to the meetup. We will have the meetup at the usual place. Now, I did say, didn't I, that we're looking at a change of venue, and we will. It was just a bit too soon, so I will to all of you, and I mean 122 people in the meetup, in the WhatsApp meetup group for the Silver Coast. It's quite extraordinary the amount of people around the world who are tuned into that and enjoying the vicarious pleasure of hearing what's going on and maybe anticipating joining up with us at some time in the future, possibly on a scouting trip. We will be at Palmera today in town, and I'm working on being at Típico de Serra, I think it's called, the my local restaurant on the outskirts of San Martino de Porto, and that'll be. I suspect it will be useful for them for us to make reservations. So details on that in the WhatsApp group for the Silver Coast meetup. But at Palmera today between 1 and 3. Brian Taylor also in. Bon dia, Gumpers, and it's a bon dia from Deagle as well in Northern Ireland. Bon dia, Colin Gumpers. It's a stun. I don't know why the word stunning made me cough there. It's just, excuse me. It's a stunning morning here in Belfast. North Antrim coast looking like 21 degrees. I'm leaving to go sea fishing, my first ever time fishing. The film Jaws brings to mind. Well, yes, you have to say at some point, I think, during a fishing trip, when Jaws is on your mind, is we're going to need a bigger boat. Okay, so have a great time with that, Deagle. And thank you for the amazing footage and photographs you've been sending me. Sounds like you're having a beautiful time there, well deserved. And your classroom, your Portuguese classroom, looked fabulous. Thank you so much. Morning all from Owen, who we've already heard from this morning, and Baddy. Bon dia, Gumpers. Looking forward to the meetup today. Yes, Carl at Palmera. Thank you. Sorry for the confusion there, Baddy. But yeah, next week we'll be up at that new place and hanging out in different surroundings. Tony Baldylocks is in. Hello, mate. And Alan Donovan's in again. Great to see you again. 2 days running, Alan, from El Puerto, Cadiz this morning. And oh yeah, the countdown continues for Tony Baldylocks as well. It's going to be great to see you here in Portugal soon, Tony. Good morning, people from Lee McGrady. Probably having a quick coffee and cigarette in a cafe in Lisbon somewhere. Looking forward to the Man Cave, no doubt. Tomorrow night, it's the Man Cave anniversary, a year under new leadership, under new management. And I use the word management very loosely indeed. But Andy Gilchrist, yes, big respect, shout out to you, Andrew Gilchrist, who sent in a couple of pickies from his voyage across the sea from the United Kingdom and has now set foot on European terra firma. Of course, the UK is in Europe, but the continent. Let's go with the continent, shall we? Mainland Europe. Oh dear, it's it's difficult. So there you go. A sunrise, I suspect, from much earlier this morning before landing and embarking in Spain. And overnight, look at this fantastic photograph of the moon that Andy took as well. But thank you, Andy, for offering about a year ago to take over the Man Cave from us, from those of us who were carrying the torch, and our heads were dropping a little bit, perhaps. Mine was staying up late every Friday night, and you've done a fantastic job. I don't think we have acknowledged you enough for that. Great job, Andy. Thank you very much. Lord Gilchrist, also he's known as to his friends, and the serfs of the Man Cave. They look up to the leadership of Lord Gilchrist, and a special one tomorrow night, where I think they're trying to get back as many. I'll be on there tomorrow night at some point, trying to get back as many man cavers into one screen as possible tomorrow night. While we're with the pictures, then thank you, Carlos, as well in Dakota, for this lovely picture of some Canada geese who've landed on their migratory path, if I say it in American, or migratory path for the Brits here. Just having a little pit stop there, a little drink and a rest before flying off. What I think he describes the migratory path. Does Carlos? Thank you so much, everybody who sends in pictures. Really appreciate these, and some lovely pictures to come of Valverde, which some of you actually, we did raise some money for them on Monday. They were needing to mend their broken pump, and I think some of you were very kind and sent money to help them do that on Monday. That was a very sudden appeal that came our way, and we talked to Francois there, didn't we? More pictures from him later on. So that's a small family of Canadian geese returning from South America, making a pit stop at my work on the way to Canada. There you go. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you very much for that, Carlos. And from Philomena, This came in, look at this, 11:15 last night. There's the date stamp. What's she got here? Does she keep a digital house brick in her bedroom or somewhere in the house? This is a very interesting bit of kit. Is it an alarm clock? Is it some sort of a device like a Siri or whatever the other ones are called? Antoinette. No, what are they called? I don't have one of these things where I can just say, put the kettle on, Doris, or whatever. I just say, Mrs. M, can I have a cup of tea, please? Doesn't always work, but I mean, I'm old school like that. So 23:15, 11:15 last night, 34 degrees in central Portugal. Thank you for that, Philomena. I don't know what that device is. Has somebody else got one of those? Are you watching this morning, Philomena? And can you tell us what that is, please? It's quite intriguing. So thank you very much for that. But some proof of the very high temperatures and the continued heat wave here in Portugal, right there in front of your very eyes. To come this morning, then we'll have Dougie joining us after 9. This is one of his recent pieces in the Portugal News. Trust me, I'm not an expert. I wonder if the advice government's handed out about living with COVID-19 necessarily meant letting our guard down so comprehensively, as one of his opinion pieces there. And he likes his motors. You might have noticed the Ferrari 355 GTS. Some people are going, wow, look at that red sports car. And others are thinking, yes, it's just a phallic substitute. What on earth are these boys and their boy toys thinking of? So there you go. That's another piece that's contributed by Dougie Hughes, a contributor to the Portugal News there, as published earlier this month. Looking forward to talking to Dougie. Oh, while we're looking at the lovely contributions, another one from Filomena. Festas de Conselho Pampilhosa de Serra. Do you remember the lovely pictures that she sent us and video of her remarkable time? This was last Friday. We documented her summer training, her early summer training. There's a gig that's happening, an event that's happening from the 14th to the 18th. We'll stick this alongside Andy's incredible contribution to the events section of expatsportugal.com/events. So yeah, right through from the 14th to the 18th. Gruppo Musical Fraternidade Pampilhosense. Gruppo Gospel Collective. So if you fancy some gospel music, can you imagine that? I wonder if you get to hear gospel music that often brings a tear to my eye as my heart swells with inspiration. That and the landscape will be amazing. Emmanuel, I think he was in San Martinho de Porto. Emmanuel touring Portugal at the moment, clearly. Carlão, Tiago Silva, and Songe Dominio, and Claudia Martins, and Minhotos Marotos there as well on the last day of that. Festas de Conselho in the Pampilhosa de Serra, or the Pamp, as I think Pete calls it. He lives over that way. Thank you, Pete, for that milk drinking tip as well. Jean's in as well. Jean, aloha possosh, a bon dia. And you sent in a fantastic picture, Jean, as well, while you were in Portugal on possibly your most recent trip here. You had a bit of a fire outbreak down there in the south. And you say here with this picture that you've sent in, these folks were all over it very quickly and sorted it out. Again, showing us how amazing the Bombeiros are here. When I was in Moncarapaccio in May, the neighbor's property had a brush fire. Bombeiros were there in minutes and got it right under control. Marvelous. Great news. And it's a bon dia de Setúbal from Sarah as well, and a photograph of the beach there. Thank you very much. You seen any dolphins yet, Sarah, down that way? We will show your picture in just a moment as well. Gary Graves is here. Hello, Gary. I think we met before? You may have been on here once or twice. You might be a lurker. Great to have you here. And Sir Lion H, not seen you for a while. Great to have you back. How are you doing? Bon dia, Carl, from you, Sir Lion H. Bon dia, Agria from Pete earlier on this morning. Hope everyone is safe. Yeah, do check in, folks. Let us know you're safe and well. That's what this community is all about. The mayor of Alvagra was on TV yesterday. That's what we laughingly refer to Alvazra as to happier times. So the mayor of Alvazra was on TV yesterday saying that some homes were lost, sadly, there. So thank you for that, Pete. Hola from Rebel Mama. We keep a go-to or to-go backpack that holds all important paperwork. Yeah, that's something we forgot, Owen, when we were talking earlier on, the important paperwork. I mean, obviously, you can't take all your Portuguese paperwork with you because that'll be, you need to be a weightlifter for that sort of level of administration. But the important things, I guess, the passports, the residency documents, those sorts of things, few pieces of heirloom jewelry. That's a real worst case scenario to go pack. Interesting. My laptop would be thrown in and then out the door we would go. Do it before you need it, people. Very good advice. Thanks, Rebel Mama, for that. The key there, do it before you need it. If you're, let me put it frankly, if you're buggering about trying to get stuff, oh, where's that heirloom thing I always want to keep, and you're doing that while there's a blaze in progress, you are wasting time, valuable time. So get it sorted. It's so important to have a bug out bag, really, says Lee, reiterating the point. Make sure you have copies of all your paperwork as well. Nice one. Owen is correct. Yes, about the phone alert. So you will get those. That's good to know. And thank you for updating us on your location there, Rebel Mama. Antonio F says, yeah, those alerts, the SMSs, the text messages, are sent to every phone number in the affected region or nationwide, depending on the situations. Clever stuff. Very good use of technology there. Owen and Rebel Mama, stay safe, you lovely people. Property means nothing compared to your health. Absolutely right, Pete. Carl, any news regarding Garvo and Linda? They're safe and well. Thank you for asking, Antonio F. Alvazra has been under huge stress. Yeah, that message, I don't know if you heard it, but Gary sent us the message this morning. Actually, let me just put that into the chat so you can see that he is safe and well, and reiterate the message that he sent me this morning as well. So they are well. All the Austins are well. Thank you for asking. Really appreciate that. That's going into the chat now. The great ramparts of the Serra de Alvazra. That's where he took that footage from. Up on the ramparts of the Serra de Alvazra have protected us. They are in an advantageous position. I think Gary chose his home on that basis. Fingers crossed with that, that protection continues, because the Bomberos are now getting so stretched and exhausted, and they are now losing a lot more properties. Yeah, they are getting stretched all across the country. Owen's to Owen. Oh, Owen's Food Alchemy is a year old today, says Owen. No celebrations, unfortunately, but looking forward to the future. Some great things coming up. Well, we're celebrating here, Owen. It was great. It is great to be part of the unfolding of Owen's Food Alchemy. And thank you so much, you and the Austin brothers, taking us right back there to Alvazra and Garvo. The kitchen, the amazing Austin brothers kitchen, and your the fun activities and the delicious food that have been created there. So happy birthday on that celebration, that anniversary there, Owen. Yeah, celebrating right here with you. And people might be inspired to have a look back and get a recipe idea on some of the old videos. They're all in our YouTube channel. I'm fine, says Antonio F. It's almost impossible for the fires to reach me. I live in a town. And thank you for putting that on one of our videos. I saw, Antonio F., that you reported that on our YouTube channel. Somebody was very concerned with that Leiria fire, that it would come into the town, and you reassured them that it was very unlikely. Although I had a bushfire some 300 meters from my building 3 years ago. So it gets close, but unlikely in the town, as you said last night on the YouTube channel, Antonio F. Great to hear that you're safe and well. It's Wagamama Wednesday. Is it really? Send pics. I haven't had a Wagamama for years. Is there a Wagamama in Lisbon, I wonder? On a lighter note, some good news. The events What's On page has been updated. Yay! Let's have a quick scroll through that. Blessing of the Helmets, obviously getting closer as a wonderful time of the year there at Fatima. I think the Blessing of the Helmets poster is in and on the page of the events. We will have a look at that. Actually, we'll scroll through that, I think, with Dougie when he joins us. So thank you for that. I'm just loading that up onto my browser now. Thank you, Andy, and thanks for all you do in that department. It's quite extraordinary, the amount of research and hard work you put in for us. So thank you on behalf of the whole community. From Australia, bon dia, Carlos, and all you lovely GMP peeps on the sidelines today as I'm fighting off a bug. Oh, dear. Sending all my love to you and to us all here. And right back at you, Michelle, with that bug of yours. Hope you're not feeling too badly. And Andre Swansea, morning. I'm in Praia da Rocha in Portimao. So I'm prompted to say that you might, Andre, like to go along to the Portimao meetup, which happens on the second Thursday of the month, monthly, second Thursdays. And you will be looked after by Jack Polly over that way. That's a JAQ rather than a JACK. The Portimao meetup, there it is. And if you want to be on that list, be on the WhatsApp alerts, the usual number, 913-590-303. Just give us a shout on there. And there's Jack, who will welcome you. And I'll put you in touch so that you know where the venue is, or if there are any changes to the venue or to the timing and so on. Thank you very much, Jackie Polly, for doing that. Really appreciate it, and have a great time there tomorrow. Who else is here this morning, as well as Andre? Great to hear from you in Praia de Rocha. I think Victoria's back that way as well, aren't you, Victoria? You tuned in this morning. Ask anything. Yes, we'll come back to that. So thank you very much for that. And Mackenzie, we'll come back to your question, and then to anyone's questions about asking anything about Portugal here this morning. We'll do that every Wednesday. Connie's in. Connie, I think maybe gets up with the show. I'm beginning to observe the lifestyle patterns. Hank is still snoring and drooling in bed. Connie is just stretching and yawning, and maybe pouring that first cup of Joe and just easing her way into their new life here in Portugal. Good morning to you, Connie. How are you? And we have a quick correction from Pete then. Man Cave is a Friday night. Did I say tomorrow night? I'm a day ahead of myself. It's really weird this week. I've been doing it all week, and I'm now in the pattern. So forgive me. The Man Cave is always on a Friday night. Thank you very much, Pete. And he should be here in 5 hours, or seeing as he is in a Land Rover, maybe considerably longer. Yes, indeed. Carl, it is Wednesday today, just in case the days are drifting. It really, they have, Pete. So thank you. Let me just see if I can rewrite that neural pathway. Carl, today is Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Thursday, and the Man Cave is on Friday. Ian and Fabio joining us tomorrow, talking about their life in Lisbon and their journey to Portugal on Move to Portugal Thursday. Hola, bon dia from Sam Nazare as well this morning. How are you doing, Sam? And from Alan. Having lived in California many years, I dealt with wildfires on several occasions. Yeah, some people are used to it, aren't they, in some ways? Australians and Americans on the West Coast. There are other parts of America too, I'm sure, as a phenomenon. For those of us who aren't used to that sort of feature in our daily lives, or in the year at some point, it's flipping terrifying. Remember the first time I encountered it, same as Owen in 2017, terrifying. That's why I ended up in San Martin de Porto. I fled central Portugal, not really understanding that it was largely, and I do emphasize the word, it was a terrible year for fires, and people did perish in that year. But sadly, the faintest whiff and smoke on the horizon had us fleeing central Portugal and heading straight to San Martin de Porto, and that's how I discovered it in the first place. Deagle, stay safe, Portugal friends, says Deagle. And Owen, thanks for the videos. Way too close, says Connie, and so true. If you buy a red sports car, you'll know that someone is overcompensating. Sorry, quick cough and a laugh there. Is that true? Would any red sports car owners like to confirm or deny? One tip given to us by a California forestry fire captain was do not try to protect your house with garden hoses. The fires can turn into tornadoes, and even fire trucks with high pressure hoses can't stop them. Yeah, I suppose in many ways it's a bit like the sandbagging during flooding, isn't it? You feel like you're doing something, and there can be some benefit in feeling like you're doing something, but it's also useful to be aware, I think, of the limitations of anything you're trying to do. And at some point, you just need to get the hell out of there, right, Alan? We're definitely going to the PAMP, to that festival there. That's later on in August. Brian, congratulations on your arrival, Andy. I wonder if Lord Gilchrist is tuned in this morning. Maybe he's got his smartphone rigged in through his sound system on the Land Rover there, Pete, and can hear what we're saying about him. I've seen a few videos of those flying dinosaurs. Try not to imagine it. What are you talking about? Flying dinosaurs? Are we talking about Range Rovers or Land Rovers again? It is just amazing that the Bombeiros are all volunteers. Now, the interesting question here, and Nuno, who's also in, might be able to answer this. Good morning all. Today in Almansil, helicopters are flying once and again to put out the fire. Yeah. All over the country, really, we can't say it enough, can we? Be alert, be prepared, stay safe, folks. We are in a heat wave. The conditions are sadly perfect for the fires, so just be really careful out there. Pete, it's just amazing that the Bombeiros are all volunteers putting their lives on the line every day for no pay. It's a symbol of the culture and the society of people who care about the community. So true, they are a symbol. And I suspect some of the managers, some of the high ups are in paid positions. Some of the, if you think about the logistics and the management of this current situation, I am actually hoping that some people are in full-time employment who are overseeing this. Because that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? And then they can they can raise the alarm, literally, and we know that, don't we? Anyone who's lived in Portugal for a little while will have heard the daily test of the fire signal, the fire siren. We have it at midday here in San Martinho de Porto. And so it's good to know. I suspect there are paid Bombeiros management, and they can ring that alarm and have people coming who will be trained and volunteering from the community. And they do symbolize, exactly as you say there, Pete, a culture and a society of people who care about the community. And I want to ask Nuno, if that's the case, are there some professionals in there? Are there some people who are trained and are in a job? So you could perhaps let us know, as well as the best way to make a contribution, Nuno, to the Bombeiros. Is there a central way of doing that? Can we have our own Just Giving fund that we start here? What would be the best way to do that, Nuno? Can you advise on that, please? I'm glad, says Antonio F. The Austins are fine. Thanks, Carl. Not at all. Seriously, this is a really good idea, Antonio. If you're and anyone who's concerned about anyone else in our community, just ask, and we will make sure. We'll find out if they're okay. We'll give them a call. We will make sure everybody's okay in this community. And we have Saline H with a comment. With this eat, try a sapateira recheada and some cold with this heat. So in the hot weather, a sapateira recheada. Now, why does that sound like a shoe of some sort? Is it a cobbler's dish of some sort, the sapateira recheada, washed down with some cold vinho verde? It is a good time to bring Dougie onto the screen in just a moment, because I think he's a bit partial to a splosh of some cold vinho verde. But can you explain, Saline H, what is a sapateira recheada? And we can maybe get a picture in our mind's eye of how delicious that might be. Oh, incoming cuppa. You see, it does work. I was just saying, some people say, Siri, put the kettle on. I say, Mrs. M, any chance of a cuppa? And it worked this morning. And she wants to do her green screen thing there. Nothing is free in this life. She got to do her green. Okay. If I imagine a cup of tea coming towards me, ooh, spooky. Please don't spill it on me this time, like you did. Do you remember? You're still laughing about that, aren't you? I'm not. No, please do not let tea hover over the equipment. Thank you very much. Good morning to you. Everyone. Good morning. Did you do a new moon video? Full moon video? Full moon video. Check that out on Mrs. M's YouTube channel this morning.
And also a show with Rick about the ego.
Really? The role, what did you decide this morning on your long distance call to Bali with Rick? Is the ego useful or not?
It is
in the right doses.
It's useful because it helps us realize what we don't want.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So yes, all the egotists here, you're not all bad. I include myself in that. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for my cup of tea. No injuries sustained in the bringing to you of this. Here comes the hand. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, because I'm worried where this thing. No, okay, that'll do. Thank you very much, Uncle Fester. The prettiest Uncle Fester I've ever seen. Look, hand, please go. Please go back to your holster. No, not there. Please go to your holster now, or whatever a hand lies about in. Go back to your hand hammock, please. Okay, go hang out somewhere. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for the cup of tea. Okay, so Lion H, we're keen to know what a sapateira recheada is. And while we're waiting, we will welcome to the screen our dear friend in Welsh Wales, Doug. How are you this morning, my friend?
I'm very well. How are you guys?
We're pretty good. We have been catching up this morning on the terrible fire situation here in Portugal and keeping each other updated on how everyone's doing and how to stay safe here. I think you were you in Portugal in 2017? Did you mention?
I was, yes, and in the wrong places as well.
Tell us more.
Yeah, I was in that region, so I didn't get into any danger because of the fire, but the smoke was awful. I mean, it really was. and it was very windy, which was the problem. I think it was fanning the flames and making it spread all that much quicker. And I think
Oh,
that's the problem we've got this year, isn't it?
well, yeah, the conditions are sadly perfect
Mm.
for such a situation. So yeah, everyone on alert here and doing the best we can to support each other and support the bomberos.
Mm.
And we were saying earlier on, people from California are in some way used to it, perhaps in Australia as well. But coming from the UK, it's not something we're used to, is it? It's flipping terrifying when it happens.
Yeah, what was really it was so frightening in the at night when you could see the glow.
Yes,
It
yes,
looked
yes.
10 times worse at night, but of course the acrid smoke could be seen during the day as well, and it was almost like those dust storms coming over the desert from afar, and you were thinking, "Oh my God, I hope that doesn't come our way." It was
Yeah.
really not a pleasant place, a
Well,
pleasant experience.
yes, I did mention that earlier. At night you feel more vulnerable, don't you, than
Yeah.
you do in the daytime? And yeah, you just have to. I think if people resort to those to the prayers, don't they, and the hope. When you can smell it, when you can see it, it is a terrifying situation for humans to be in, for sure, and
Mm.
not to mention all the creatures as well. So yeah, 2017, terrible time for Portugal, and Doug is here, a Portugal news correspondent, and you write a lot for the Portugal news. I've noticed. We mentioned this morning already, Doug, a couple of your pieces recently. You have written about. We're going to go into the Freudian significance of red sports cars this morning. I think because somebody made a comment about that,
Yeah.
but also the COVID situation. Trust me, I'm not an expert. Might be good to have a little bit of a look at that, and the Ferrari
Uh,
355 GTS living the Italian dream. What else do
mm.
you write about? What else? What's on your mind? What else might we expect from you for the paper, or are you not allowed to give away your scoops like that?
I try not to, but I write about all manner of subjects, and I've got a few in the pipeline at the moment, which I'm not sure whether they're going to be published this week or next. I don't think they tend to appear online before they go into the printed version. So I just submit them and see what comes through, basically. And so,
Excellent.
do you
Okay.
know, to be absolutely 100% candid with you, Carl, I can't even remember what I've submitted. I've done so many bits.
A prolific writer, then, a prolific contributor for the Portugal news. There, live with us this morning from Welsh Wales. Have you got another new vehicle out on the lawn there, Doug?
Oh, uh, it's terrible, Tom. The breaking down lawnmower, uh,
Okay.
and it's actually ran out of petrol a day or two ago, and I haven't had time to go and fetch any. So so it's
Oh.
it's holed up on the lawn. It could do with
It's
another cut.
It's now when you need an electric, solar-powered lawnmower, isn't it? It's quite weird, isn't it, to have a vehicle that you have to go to a petrol station to get a liquid that's made out of old, ancient sunshine, and then bring it back in a plastic box and stick it inside the engine to make it go around the garden. It's quite a bizarre situation, that, when you think about it, isn't it?
There's very little about human society that makes any sense or logic, really, if you think about it carefully, is there?
So
And that
true. So
and
true.
and 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 that is kind of personifies it, doesn't it? What we've got to do just to keep the grass managed. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
As you
yeah.
can see around you, I don't know whether you can see the behind me here. All I've left all the embankment, like or clothier as they call them here in Wales, because it's
All
just
right.
open countryside behind me.
Oh, I see.
And I've left them all wild with wildflowers and things
Oh,
for
beautiful.
the bumblebees and what have you. So I've
Super.
not manicured them just for the wildlife's sake.
Very good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So we've got our first question in, Doug. Doug and I with you until 10 o'clock this morning, asking. Well, you're doing the asking, we're doing the answering here. And Anne is first. Anne McKenzie. Might you please recommend a reasonably priced hotel or specific area to stay in Lisbon, preferably near a bakery? Any meet and greets planned for October? Aloha from Hawaii, by the way. So coming over from Hawaii, isn't that lovely? Have you
Mm.
got a recommendation? Do you stay in Lisbon much, or do you tend to head straight for the Algarve when you come over?
No, I stay in Lisbon quite a lot.
Oh, okay, go on then.
I tend to stay away from the city for accommodation. I tend to go to places like Ericeira or nearby, even Mafra. I love Mafra. And there's plenty of bakeries there. Really brilliant one by the Praca in Mafra. There are no shortages of padarias in Lisbon. I'm sure she could find a hotel near a padaria. You've only got to stumble outside a hotel and there's a bar and a padaria in Lisbon, isn't there?
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true, Doug. Because I was thinking it'd be more difficult if it was somebody who was gluten intolerant and they wanted a hotel not near a bakery. That would be really difficult, wouldn't it? But you're not going to. That's the easy bit, Anne. Book any hotel in Lisbon or near Lisbon, and you're going to be near a pasteleria, padaria. It's just part of the life here, so don't worry about that. I mean, there are some specialty bakeries that you might want to make your way to in Lisbon. There are all kinds. You might want to try a vegan pastel de nata, or you might not. But there are lots of specialty bakeries, so that's not the problem. And a nice tip there, so maybe out in Mafra, Ericeira, on the outskirts, the metro is really good, so you'll be able to jump on to the metro and go into the centre of town, or just jump on a bus. Very exciting to just get on a random bus in Lisbon, I think.
It is, and Sintra's not terribly far either, actually. That's doable on a train in a short period of time, isn't it?
That's true. Cascais as well, so you could go to Cascais and you could go on the lovely train ride along the river from Cascais at a very reasonable price into town.
Linha de Cascais.
Yeah, and you'll come through Belém. It's a wonderful journey. So that's our tip, I think, isn't it, Doug? Is to be on the outskirts and make your way in to the town. Sometimes probably, when you're in the city, it can be very noisy. So you might not get a very good night's sleep as one of the problems of staying right inside the city. It doesn't sleep, does it? I mean, people make a big deal about New York and other cities around the world that don't sleep, that are 24-hour cities. Lisbon doesn't make a big deal about that, but it truly is a 24-hour.
Lisbon doesn't just not sleep. It just, after the hours of darkness, it just comes awake. I mean,
so true.
It's all those little side streets that look sort of dead and non-events during the day. They're bustling at night, and bars sort of appear out of nowhere. So I think it's brilliant. Of course.
Yeah, well said. So any other tips from the community? Another tip I've got for you, Anne, is and it was the place I couldn't remember yesterday, Cacilhas. We were talking about Trafaria, which is a ferry port on the south side of the Tejo. So you get the wonderful view, and you get a slightly different view in every sense of life in Lisbon. You're on the south of the water, south of the river there. You get the beautiful view, and you get a slightly different context for your stay in Lisbon. Similarly in Cacilhas. Cacilhas is incredible. That's a ferry ride across the water. I've stayed in an Airbnb in Cacilhas, which is in the main street there. There's a fantastic restaurant called the Farol, the Lighthouse seafood restaurant.
Oh, I know the one, yeah.
Yeah, which is just as you get off the ferry. Sorry to the regulars who hear me banging on about Farol and Cacilhas probably too often, but it is a great tip for you. And Airbnb, reasonably priced, Cacilhas side of the water, and how exciting to go get some breakfast in Cacilhas or do your own breakfast in the Airbnb and then jump on a ferry and make a ferry landing at Cais de Sodré. You're right there at the timeout market, and you can make your way up the hills there and go into the center of town. That would be my tip. I'm sure others will follow.
Farol Restaurant is one of those. It's rustic, but the food's amazing.
Yeah, and it's proper old school Lisboa sort of restaurant. You get greeted by some fast-moving staff. They'll seat you quickly. They'll get a beer in front of you. It's one of those restaurants in Portugal where what do they call it? A cervejaria, I think. Cervejaria, where there are huge tanks of beer. Because the beer goes down so well with the seafood, as does the Vinho Verde and the white wine of Portugal, of course. But it's about the beer and the seafood at Farol. It's very old school. Lots of Portuguese people in there, which is always a good sign. So check that out. Thank you, Nuno, for checking in this morning as well in Almansil. And who else have we got in this morning? And do we have any other questions? I wonder. I think I've created a new California state marketing slogan. Can we? Oh, here he is. Fires, earthquakes, droughts. You name it, California's got it. I'm not. You're not selling it to us. I don't think they're going to go for that one. Do you?
No.
It's a no.
I mean, we don't have to go far for the fires and the droughts at the moment, sadly, but hopefully no earthquakes. Unless you go to the Azores, apparently they're having quite a few tremors.
They have them all the time, don't they? I mean, and that is that. I think it's accurate to say that earthquakes and tremors are happening all the time on the planet. It's the severity that we need to be concerned about. It's the same with the fires. You know, these are all natural phenomena in a way. It's the severity and the management of them, isn't it? That's the real art form for the human being. Jack Polly is in this morning, the host of our Portimao meetup tomorrow. It is Thursday tomorrow. I think I got that right now. Bon dia todos, and Stephen Wells is in as well, as is Amelie in Korea. Bodar, I'm multitasking, watching and assessing language tests. A student is talking about Korea's 4 rather wonderful seasons. Where can I find 4 rather wonderful seasons in Portugal? Great question, Amelie. Where would you find the some relief and contrast throughout the year, do you think, Doug?
So for weather-wise, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. You know, in the times of climate changes, so as not to be controversial here, you know, deniers, etc. But I don't think anyone would deny that we are in a situation where the seasons are somewhat different to how we remember them as children, perhaps, and they're not as distinct as 4 seasons. That, you know, there's something's changed, something is different. But where in Portugal might you find that sort of contrast, do you think? What would be your experience of that?
Well, you mean if you want somewhere really warm, you obviously go to the south, and you know, the obvious, and the north is slightly cooler. Is that what you mean?
I think Amelie's question here is, where might you live such that you experience 4 distinct seasons throughout the year?
In most of Portugal, especially the south, anywhere south of Lisbon, I find it's just 2 seasons. You get the spring, and you get a mild autumn, and there's not a great deal in between.
Yes.
I don't know what it's like up. I've never. Well, I have experience, as you know. I know your area pretty good, but haven't spent as much time there as I have down the south. So do you have 4 distinct seasons there? Do you get snow and ice and?
I think not as much. I think we have a similar version of what you're talking about, and that's why we came here, because we're happy. We're happy with the spring and the summer.
Just forget the winter, but that's what we don't want, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Maybe a handful of cold and damp days where you're thinking, you know, will this ever end? Can we see the 300 days of sun again, please?
I wrote an article a few months ago, and I mentioned Andalusia, and I think it's since the 1980s onwards to the present day, their summers seem to last several weeks longer than they did in years before that. As a tendency. So they get the summers last an extra month, which is climate change undeniably, isn't it?
Well, it's certainly changes to the weather, isn't it? For sure. You know, that is our. I can't see how anyone would deny that experience of how. And probably somebody will this morning. You know, that's how we roll. There's no problem with that. If anybody wants to disagree, that's absolutely fine, or bring in a different perspective. And perhaps we do romanticize a little bit the you know, the kind of ladybird book idea of the seasons. Where it was very distinct, and you'd see a picture of winter that had snow in it and a little bird, a robin probably. You'd have springtime, wouldn't you, where I think summer would probably have the farm in it, wouldn't it, and the end of summer and the harvest. You'd have spring flowers possibly, and you'd have autumn leaves. That's the ladybird book of the seasons as far as us growing up in the UK.
Well, here's one. I mean, I remember staying in a farm in Andalusia, and it was actually a very large farm. It was almost a ranch, actually, just went on for miles.
Yeah.
And the current farmer's dad, who used to farm the land many years ago, still does to a degree, keeps his hand in, was saying, right, we were just going around having a look, and he was showing me around the farm. It was very interesting. And he took me to a river, which was basically a dry riverbed. And he said, this is climate change, he says to me in his broken English. And he said, no doubt about it, because when I was a boy, I used to fish in that river. And in even in the summer months, we used to be able to go swimming in it to keep cool. But there hasn't had any water in it now for well over 10 years.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So there might be a little bit of romanticism, and there's quite a lot of fact, quite a lot of certainly anecdotal evidence of things changing. Back to your question, Emily, we are probably thinking north, I would say, and I guess the interesting thing you have if you go to the coast is the moderating factor of the Atlantic. So that's a kind of, I don't know if that's called microclimatology or whatever that might be, but if you really, this is a fantastic question, because there probably is a sweet spot in Portugal where the most seasonal variation is experienced, and I've got that as probably in the top third of the country.
It is
not right in the interior, because that's going to be a hot spot, and not right over on the coast, but somewhere between. You like in the top third, and maybe a third in is where you're going to get these distinct seasons in Portugal. I will bow to other people's knowledge on that, because they'll be talking from their lived experience, I suspect. Great question. We'll leave that hanging there. Aradiel Pinto is in again. Great to see you. Hola, bon dia from you, as well as from Catherine this morning, from Kate. Bon dia, Carl y amigos. Great to see you here, Kate, this morning. I love alerts. I am one. Yes, and always, I hope you will stay alert there, Banana Slug. And we have Fiona in this morning. My heart goes out to all the bombeiros and to all the people losing homes and everything they've worked for all their lives. I mean, that is the reality of it, isn't it? Animals too. Grateful to see some arrests in recent days. Is this of arsonists? This is one of the really sad things about this situation is some of these fires are set on purpose. Why would any human do this? And there are a number of agendas possibly here. The most is the word pernicious or hateful and nasty, is that there is some commercial gain from not just the arsonists getting paid, but they're paid by someone to do it, who benefits from this devastation. That is one theory I've heard, and that is I hasten to emphasize that is a theory, an opinion I've heard. And I suppose another one is stupidity. People thinking that they'll start a fire, not realizing the scale to which it might grow. So that would just be straightforward stupidity and ignorance, wouldn't it? But horrible to hear that some people may have started these on purpose. Aradiel asking me, are you in San Martino de Portugal? Yes, I am. And we had a massive gig last night. Rosina, I think was her name, a Pimba star, was playing. She's a comedy accordionist who was playing on the beach last night. They set up it's amazing what goes on in Portugal. A big stage appeared on the beach and a massive sound system. The gig started at 9 o'clock, and I could hear it from our house, which is a 20-minute walk to the beach. And I think loads of people had a fantastic time on the beach, San Martino de Porto. And we will again later on today at the meetup. Today from 1 till 3. I imagine they'll be taking down that stage. And we might even be able to, if she stayed in town, I'm going to show you the poster of this lovely lady. If she stayed in town and is having lunch in the town, we might even be able to get to rub shoulders with this legend of the scene here in Portugal. But yes, I'd be interested to know, continues Fiona, to know more about how the bombeiros themselves cover their costs. Obviously, many are taking time off normal employment. I understand they don't get paid, but do they get reimbursed somehow? I think employers probably take a very generous view of this, understanding that they're going and working for the community there. But yeah, again, we will bow to the knowledge of those who live in the country and know about these things. Carl, if you do something traditional like putting up a wall calendar on the wall behind you, you and other old gumpers like myself can always know what day it is today. That's Carl. I think your comment stops there. But yeah, that's not a bad idea. Doug, we were talking the other day about if you drop off during the show, as some people do, they might have a little snooze. Yeah, like a Joe Biden style drop off. And if they wake up, we thought we might help them to remind them who they are and where they are. So if you need that, just put that in the chat. Who am I? Where am I?
I need that on a daily basis. So yeah.
Do you like it, Doug, when you drop off like that? I actually really enjoy it to wake up and not know who I am.
Really? Oh well,
yeah.
Makes all sorts, I suppose, isn't it? But no, I find it quite. I suppose I find it quite frightening. Not that the only thing that I do when I'm traveling, especially, I get up in the middle of the night and I think I'm at home, and never bother putting the lights on to find the lavatory and walk straight into a wall.
Yeah.
Because my bathroom's door is usually there, oh my God, now it's the wall.
Well, yes, it is. So different reactions to waking up, not knowing who you are or where you are. But we're here at your service. If you do need to know who you are or where you are, we'll do our best to help you. Or if you do put a comment in the chat, you'll be revealed to yourself who you are as soon as you press send, because you'll see at least the name you call yourself. If that's not the truth, that could be confusing. But if you have put your real name and you've logged in as your real name, that will be a clue. And you'll see that you are in some way linked to Portugal, if not in Portugal, which is a good start, I think, when you wake up from a snooze. So Lion H says, you have two kinds of bombeiros, sapadores that are paid and voluntarios that are not paid, and they all get paid in fires. So they perhaps get paid for active service when that happens, like reservists, I guess, there. So that will be quite a big drain on the government bill, then, won't it? Of course, with all the fires going on, that is a blow to the I don't know if you call it GDP, but the balancing of the books here in Portugal. That's interesting, and thank you for that, Sir Lion H. Have you had this, Doug? A sapateira recheada. It's a stuffed crab with vinho verde. That sounds like a lovely serving suggestion, recipe idea for us.
I must admit, I do enjoy crab meat, and the only place I can remember having a freshly served, I think they call them dressed crab, don't they, here in the UK? And that was where else except Cromer. I remember
Oh,
having
very
one
good.
there.
Yes,
Yeah.
very good. A crab capital, possibly. And Antonio F is confirming here. Sapateira is a kind of big crab, and recheada means stuffed. It all makes sense to me now. Thank you for that, Antonio F. And Aragiel Pinto, thankfully, has a recipe with teleculinaria.pt recipes /fish/recipe of the Sapateira recheada. Thank you very much for that. Very good. Who doesn't like a hand first thing in the morning? Oh, stop it. It's very saucy comments coming in from Australia this morning. This is going back to Mrs. M's hand floating in from stage left. That's thing now. Not okay. It's not Uncle Fester. It's the thing. And Maxine, it's a crab, Carl. I've been informed that they're imported from France because the French don't eat their sapateiros. Funny that, isn't it? How cultures, they have an indigenous food species of some sort, but they don't eat it. A bit like some of the seafood in the UK. I think some of the seafood in the UK gets exported to China, doesn't it? Because people don't like whelks anymore or that sort of thing.
A lot of whelks are caught just down the road from where I am now at this minute. They go out for the whelks, and they're actually, the French and the Spanish like the whelks. They use them, and I actually remember being down in a pool in Dorset, and seeing huge boxes of whelks caught in a beach about 2 miles away from my house, in boxes, and they had Porth in Tyne written on them, ready to go to France. I remember that, being very sort of perplexed by it all.
Oh yeah, but I think it's true, isn't it? That although this, you and I come from a land where whelks are plentiful, they're not fond. We're not actually very fond of eating them, so they are, as you say, getting exported to France and Spain.
They're the most horrible and rubbery things. Whelks. They're very chewy.
You're not a fan. You're not a fan.
No, I don't. I've never enjoyed them. I like cockles and mussels, but not whelks.
Alive. Okay, it's a bon dia to you from Antonio F this morning.
Oh, bon dia, Antonio, bon dia.
And it might be old age, but I'm waking up after midday. I don't know. It could be partly middle age, couldn't it? It could just be partly bone idleness. But you enjoy it. You enjoy it, Moaz. And where have you been? You've already answered the question. In bed, and that's why we haven't seen you on the show, because you're getting up 2 hours after we finish, Moaz. Maybe you could go to bed earlier so you can join us again. Owning, embracing, and fully living into your magnificent vintageness. Well, there's a nice reframe on it as well. Carl, I never thought about how we can support firemen, but you're just putting me thinking about it. And as an auto-named idiot, the one with the ideas, give me some time and we'll go deeper on it. Very good. Thank you, Nunu, for that. Just woke up, says Nubianet, with the sounds of multiple fire engines. Now, your situation. 2017 is the reason a lot of us Californians already had N95 masks. So a bad year in California too, then, of 2017 by the sound of it. And the N95 predating the pandemic.
Can I come in here? You're talking about us supporting the Bombay Rush. During the 2017 episode, I remember being, I can't remember in what town it was, but it's nearby. And what a lot of the local people were doing was supporting them by buying things like bottled water and things like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and taking it to the local Bomberos station, and that and chocolate bars and things like that, and
Energy
energy
bars.
drinks,
Yeah.
energy drinks and energy bars. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were doing that, and obviously they were well received.
Yeah, well, we've added to that list this morning. Milk can be good as well when
Yeah.
it comes to easing the throat and the respiratory system, by the sound of it.
Milk is
And
an excellent way to rehydrate. It's better than energy drinks, actually, because of all the electrolytes and things in it.
Okay, there you go. And we also have comments coming in, and hopefully questions as well. If you've got anything you want to ask anything about Portugal with me and Portugal news contributor, regular news contributor to the Portugal News, Doug, who joins us live from Wales this morning. Yes, so comments, questions. One here, Chris, Capricorn Chris is here. Hola, bom dia a todos. Faixa do dia Disco Inferno by the Tramps. Lisbon is the New York of Europe. Well, yes, isn't that funny? Portugal is the California of Europe, but Lisbon is the New York of Europe. Very interesting metaphors there. Very good. Thank you for that, Chris. And Simon's in as well. Bom manhã a todos. Outro belo dia. Thank you very much, Simon. Flashing a bit of Portuguese there. Slug, I think this fall could be bad. Hopefully, PG&E won't be the major contributor again. I'm not sure what PG&E is. Can you explain that? And Maxine, first time correct. Thank you. Cervejaria. Thank you very much for that. OLP's in as well. Love to you all. Very early for Nubianet, but the convoy of fire engines woke me up. It may not be a fire in my area, but moving in convoy to an area in danger. I live near a fire station. Oh, dear Nubianet, stay safe. Lots of love to you. To Nubianet as well from James. Ironically, one of the reasons I left California for Portugal was to get away from a place that was perpetually on fire. Interesting. Dougie from Chris. So the driving license issue has been resolved. How about the biometric cards? How long do you think it will take for biometrics for Brits to be sorted? Now, you're not an insider, are you, when it comes to working with the IMT or CEF, Doug? But with your knowledge of Portugal, which goes back a few years now, how would you view this from a dealing with bureaucracy point of view? Do you think the biometric situation is going to be sorted anytime soon? Or do you think CEF and the Portuguese government have got other matters on their hands that are going to keep them busy?
I think they've got a lot of things on their hands that are going to keep them busy, like every government at the moment. These things that you mention have a habit of ending up on the back burner, don't they? And it's a sort of, we'll come back to it tomorrow, and so it just sort of drags out, which is frustrating for a lot of people, of course.
It is, especially once you've asked people to start the process. And people used to have a lovely bit of paper, didn't they? The Brits, for sure. Pre-Brexit, had just a piece of paper to show that you were a citizen. Sorry, not a citizen, a resident, not a citizen. And then people were asked to take the next step and get a QR code, and then it kind of stalled there. So we don't know, Chris, but we know that. We don't know this for UK drivers. We didn't confirm that yesterday, but for American drivers, they don't have to exchange their license until it has expired or until they reach the age of 60. Well, you might be writing about that, Doug, given that you do so much about cars and driving. You might cover that piece, I guess, for the Portugal News.
I would if I knew enough about it. It's not something that I've stumbled across, seeing as I'm not in that situation. I mean, after Brexit, I went out and got 2 driving permits, European driving permits.
Okay.
I think they call them. But as it turned out, I didn't need either of them because they'd thrashed out some kind of deal in the end where our existing licenses are valid.
And that's the situation. That's how you approach it. When you come to Portugal and hire a car or rent a car, you are showing a British driving license, and all is well with that.
All is well with that. They never asked me for anything other than that.
Okay, excellent. And we've got a warning here from Alan. Don't insult the People's Democratic Republic of California. I think said with a tongue in the cheek, possibly there. Do we talk about politics in Britain at the moment?
Yes, a lot.
It's been and has do we though? Do you and I? Do you want to give us a quick assessment for the people? You know, an on the ground report from Wales, which is slightly controversial because some people want to remain part of the United Kingdom, others don't. There, it's been a busy week in British politics. How's it looking this morning?
Pretty much the same as it did last night, and where the the field is gradually being narrowed.
Yes.
I think it's down to 8 serious contenders.
They are condensed as well, though.
Contenders, yeah. And after that, I think they come Monday they're going to get whittled down even further, aren't they? And I think we're going to get left with 2 serious contenders. Rishi Sunak is looking strong.
Yes.
Liz Truss isn't doing quite enough for some reason. She's just not getting her nose in front.
Yes.
I think it's anybody's game at the moment, to be honest, but Sunak does look kind of strong.
Yes, okay. Another race to the bottom, you might say, but we'll see. We'll see. But maybe I'm being too harsh and unkind with that.
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, whoever wins has got a lot of ground to make up after the debacle of the past few months.
Yes, it is a bit of a poison chalice for sure.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
So that's British politics in a nutshell.
There it is. There it is. Chalice within chalice. Hola, bon dia, kids, from a sunny, breezy Portimao this morning. Good morning to you, Victoria. I feel reassured to know that you're back in Portimao, I have to say. I don't know if others share that feeling. And we have 4, there you go. There's an answer to Amelie's question from earlier on. We have 4 very distinct seasons here in Fundao region. It is lovely. Well done, Pete. Thank you for that. 53 watching and only 19 likes. Come on. Like us, Maximus wants you to hit the like button. We don't actually know what that does, but give it a go anyway. Bon dia, Victoria. A breeze is always welcome in these days, yes, of the heat. Spring, summer, spring again in autumn, and then winter. That's how it is in the Fundao region there. I imagine the north of Portugal, we most likely to see fuller seasonal changes. Yes, so you're with me there, James, on that. In San Diego, we have a change of seasons, spring, summer, fall, changes to spring, summer, fall. Okay, just missing a winter there, which I think some people will be glad about. I think checking the safety of where you live is the best you can do. On video, I see a lot of dry brush that wouldn't be allowed in my city in a similar location. Thank you, Nubianet, for that. Most municipalities, so the 4 seasons question is a great one. Most municipalities in both Alentejos, that's what the Baja and the what was the upper Alentejo? Alto Alentejo and the Baja Alentejo there. And Andalusia, the hottest area in Spain, Alentejo, the hottest area of Portugal. So I wonder if there are other similarities between the 2 there. So you've been to both, haven't you?
Absolutely. And I learned when I stayed in Reguengos, the Monserrate, that the Alentejo, that part of the Alentejo, and a great big chunk of it used to be part of Andalusia many, many moons ago. And the food culture remains today. There are a lot of things on the menu in an Alentejo restaurant that are basically Andalusian in origin.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that, Doug. Most arsonists apparently are just sick and they enjoy seeing fire. I mean, and we can all understand that there's a human delight as well, isn't there, in being entertained by flames? But at that scale, oh my goodness, there are also psychological profiles for some arsonists, says Banana Slug there. I've just got a shout at Jimmy Choo. I hope you didn't hear that, everybody, because I was he is very annoying at the moment. He's in his teenage time as a young dog. And I think there is the aroma of a bitch on heat in the neighborhood, which is really quite putting him about and annoying the rest of us. Shut up! Lindo, adoro a Baía de San Martino de Porto. Oh, thank you for your validation of my hometown there, Aragio. Arsonists love the attention. This is how many get caught. It is sad, isn't it? My God. One profile apparently is to create a crisis so they can jump in and help someone. Hey, yes, it's understandable, but yes, just as you said there, Antonio, it's sick. Carl, I believe firemen have to be released by their employers if they are called to a fire. Not 100% sure. So they maybe there's a law to have that happen. Yeah. Apologies for the late arrival. Coach Turner is here. We're traveling through France and had an early start. So Okay, we'll have some of this then. Stand by, everybody. I think we have a God Squad tip of the day from the coach turn. I think you're going to like this. See if you can recognize the two themes that are mashed up in this little tune here, please. Oh, no, wrong one. Sorry, I nearly played Smash the Like button. Where? Oh, here it is. This is. What are those two tunes there, Doug?
I couldn't recognize them.
Star Wars and Chariots of Fire all mashed up together.
Really, all mashed up into one. Oh my God!
God Squad tip of the day: driving long distances.
Miko and Vangelis.
Yes, very good, Miko. That was when they had this kind of disco-fied version of the Star Wars thing. We all love that. That's a floor filler for sure. You ain't lost it, Doug, when it comes to the DJing skills. Driving long distances means you're sat down for hours, says Coach Turner. Whether you're driving, working, or even presenting a radio show, try to take 5 every 60 to 90 minutes. Oh, okay. So maybe on the hour, I should have a little break, or maybe I have to wait till the full 90 minutes. But stand up and loosen up. I'm thinking of doing this as a stand-up show, not as in stand-up comedy. Stand up as in maybe perched on a stool. Have you noticed that? You know, back in your day, it was definitely a chair job, wasn't it, to be an announcer, a broadcaster? But some of them stand up now, don't they, Doug?
Yeah. My latter days working for independent radio, we had to stand up. It was horrible. It was really horrible.
So you were part of that change?
Yeah. I used to have a chair. I pulled a chair in from the office, so
Right.
I could. If I had a couple of records back to back, I used to sit down anyway. You know, I was too lazy to stand for 2.5 hours.
I think the producers and the directors of the radio station believe it adds a dynamic, which you can understand. But that is a long time to be standing up for. So the opposite advice would be true: is have a sit down every 5 minutes.
You were. The thing was, there was a definite difference in the presenting style. When you were sitting down, you tended to be a sort of a lot more chilled out and more matter of fact. When you were standing up, you were just sort of naturally conversing more, and I did appreciate what they were trying to get at.
And what show were you doing on local radio there? Where will people remember you from, and which part of the country was that?
Oh, that was in the northwest. It was Marcher, MFM Marcher. I used to work for Marcher Coast, which was the North Wales coast in Cheshire. The Cheshire, the Marches, as they called.
And the Welsh Marches, of course. Yes, I lived very close to those in Shropshire. And were you Dougie Hughes? What was it?
That's what I called him. Just Doug Hughes. Yeah.
Okay. After the news, it's Doug Hughes taking you away. Good old good ones. Fantastic, Doug. I didn't know that about you. BBC and local radio there.
Local radio mainly to be actually. I left the doing anything for the BBC to work in my father's business. Where I stayed, and I actually only did broadcasting as a sort of hobby after that.
Okay. Thank you for that little bit of background there, Doug. Fascinating. California is now on fire very nearly year round. What a terrible situation. And hasn't always been the case, presumably. Here in UK, says Simon, Antonio, my friend, was part-time fireman. He had a pager for the fire department at work and was allowed time off to respond, quite rightly too. PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric. There you go. Can Doug explain about the new driving license announcements? Can we continue to drive without changing our license at IMT? Everyone, residents as well as visitors. Depends on where you're from. And we will get some more clarification from Gilda or read about it. That will be covered, I'm sure, in the Portugal news, in the news department rather than features where you'll find Doug. I suspect. Would you agree there, Doug?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the territorial differences between, I wouldn't want to put my neck on the block and give anybody any wrong information. It'll be horrible, wouldn't it?
There you go. Good morning, people. Great to see such solidarity towards firemen as well as the population of the burning areas. Thank you. Not at all, Joel. We're doing our best here to be supportive. Sorry, must have missed that when out feeding it. Not at all. Don't worry, Fiona. And yes, Pacific Gas and Electric, the above ground power lines that are poorly maintained. Okay, they start fires and cause deaths. Dear, oh dear. Apparently, UK is an OEDC country, so the new stuff includes UK. I'm just still unclear if it's everyone. When you get to 60, you do have to get an examination, and be cleared for takeoff, as it were, for driving. So that's another consideration there. You're obviously years off that, Fiona, but that's for other people. Bon dia to Joao F. Hope all is well with you from P. And it covers the OECD, not OEDC, and UK is one of them. So we are piecing that together. Will Doug be joining for the wine club? You can answer that yourself, Doug. Will you?
The problem I had with the wine club was actually finding the right wines to come and join you guys with it.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I might sit on the sidelines, and if I actually manage to get the right bottle of wine, maybe then I could join in. But,
yes, and the politics, of course. That was the other problem joining the wine club, wasn't it?
Oh, well, that was the on wasn't it after hours sort of? Yeah.
Here's the wine.
Yeah.
This will be our first tasting on the 1st of August. Hold on a minute. Sorry, Doug. I need to take your banner out of the way for just 1 minute. We are looking at Cat's Paw Red from Casa de Pastorela. It's season 2 of the Wine Club. Wine 1 is a Dow Red. Join us at 9 p.m. on Monday, the 1st of August. It's going to be fun. And we'd love to see you there, Dougie, for that. It'd be fantastic. A red, you probably better get a Dow Red, won't you? If not that,
I'll get a Dow Red, but it's not the same as not having the actual right one, though, is it? I mean,
right.
You'll be all enthusing about it, and I'll be
Yes.
thinking, oh yeah, that sounds like a beautiful wine, but I've just got this one from Aldi.
Yes.
It's
What I'm saying things like tastes like seasoned lederhosen and church pew, you'll be like, I'm not getting that. I'm drinking something else. Yeah, fair enough.
Mine tastes more like Pepe Le Pew. It's yeah.
Brilliant. Lady Prime Minister, that might be Penny Mordaunt, mightn't it? PM stands for Prime Minister and Penny Mordaunt, perhaps.
Isn't she doing rather well, Penny Mordaunt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Liz Truss is just so talentless. Truss is such an interesting name. Does anyone still wear a truss? Is that word still used? It's a bit like the word sheath, isn't it? These are words from the 1950s that our grandfathers would have used. That's my truss and sheath delivery. A millennial won't know what's being spoken about there. So she's just so talentless, apparently. Only in the UK could Boris and Liz ever be considered leaders.
Well, the truth about it is the job as it stands is such a horribly poisoned chalice. Who in their right minds would want it?
A narcissist or a psychopath, really.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the absolute God's honest truth of the matter is that the people who are really talented, they're off doing their own thing, aren't they? Running multi-million-pound businesses.
Exactly.
They can't be bothered with a prime ministerial wage, although for some people that would sound a lot, but Boris doesn't think it is. And yeah. So the best people are doing other things.
Yeah, you're right. If you want something done, ask a busy person, and I suppose that you could extend that, couldn't you? If you want to turn someone into a complete maniac, ask them to be prime minister. My Arizona driving license would expire in 2023. I've no plan to renew it. I heard Arizona would tax you if you. Yeah, that's another way they get the taxes out of you in the US, isn't it? Is via your driving license. No, como posso escrever until no telenovela? Now encontrei forma de faz-lo. What's he saying there, Doug?
Something about writing something telenovela. I have no idea.
That would have been my guess as well. All about the everyone from Reshab. Morning, Reshab. How you doing? And to Moaz, if you're planning to drive in Portugal, you may want to rethink not renewing your driving license if you don't have a license to exchange. I think you have to do the full 6-month or so process to qualify. Good point, Banana Slug. Very good point for the rest of the community to consider there as well. I think I may have heard Doug on the radio. Did you ever work for Radio Norwich? Aha!
And now it's the quiz of the week.
Yes, and from Norwich is the quiz of the week with Nicholas Parsons.
With Nicholas Parsons. You wouldn't have any Nicholas Parsons in this day and age, would you?
No. What a legend. What a legend. You could broadcast from a standing desk. Yes, I could, with the emphasis on could. I think I might when we redesign the studio. Keep the bomberos in your thoughts, good gumpers, and fondle that like button. Thank you very much. Coming to the concluding sentiments and a few pictures from Valverde, where some of you very kindly donated some money to fix their pump. Have we missed anything, Doug, that you wanted to include? Sorry, the show has taken its own sort of path, as it tends to do. Were there things to speak about?
Nice, isn't it? A bit of spontaneity and all that.
It's how we roll, isn't it?
I've got nothing to add to that. I mean, I'm perfectly happy to have the questions thrown at me by either yourself or the viewers / listeners. Yeah,
you are so brilliant in this role. Glad to have you. Just back before we set sail for a day's sea fishing. think they are on Portuguese time. 10 o'clock means 20 past. Lol there, cheeky. There are exceptions to the new license regulations, so vetted research would probably be a good idea. I do think Gilda's going to address that next Monday. Sarah Yerman went for a walk early because it's going to cook today. You are so Portuguese in so many ways, Sarah, with your understanding of the language and the climate. And you did send in a lovely picture for us, which I'll find and share with everybody now. Not Nunu in his vast wine cellar, but another picture came through. Where did it go? I thought I downloaded that. Oh, yeah, you've been on the beach this morning, and here it is. This is a sort of beach view you can experience at Stubal. Has that challenged your view of Stubal there, Doug, or anybody else? It has mine. I imagine Stubal to be a little bit more built up. That's a lovely wild-looking beach there, possibly with a yellow flag on it. Have you been to Stubal, Doug?
I have, Stubal. I have been there many times, and I've not been to that bit of it because, like yourself, I think of it as being built up and and rather flat as a general rule, without any cliffs. That kind of looks almost more Algarvian, doesn't it?
Sesimbra, I would have that as a little bit further. Yeah, but that coast, Comporta, that part of the world, I'm not surprised it's as beautiful as that on second thoughts. Is there an online supplier that can provide members of the wine club with the wine of the session? We have tried to work on this. You would think that would be a good idea and that they would export. I mean, it's difficult sending it to the UK because of import duty now, I think, and the other dangers of exporting bottles, glass bottles with liquids in. But you'd think so, wouldn't you, buddy? We need to look into that. But that one available from Continent at the moment that I showed you before, the Cat's Paw is available. It is I think more of the more expensive wines that we've ever tasted. That said, it's still only about €7, I think, reduced down from double figures. So
the Dow is a bit of a the Dow region for me is a little bit of a Marmite region. You can get lovely wines, and some of them are a little wishy-washy as well, actually.
What Doug said, I think the Dow region is a little bit controversial and not as safe, perhaps, as getting wines from the Douro area. Well, let's see if that's true.
White wines, no problem. It's the reds that are difficult to sort of nail down as being excellent from that region, really.
Yeah, indeed. Bon dia. I love your talks. Thank you so much, Sandra Singh. How long does CEF take to process? Depends where you are on your consulate. I assuming you mean the whole process from start to finish. Best day to tune in for that sort of information would be the Monday. There, Sandra Singh. The reason for not having highly skilled people available to lead governments is that skilled people, competent people, do not want to get their hands dirty with politics. That's a good point. Spot on, says Java. The two Portuguese gentlemen with a little bit of political analysis of Portuguese politics there. Same in every profession. Certainly in teaching, people are promoted way beyond their level of incompetence. The Peter principle, of course. People who love their jobs don't want to administrate. Yes, it is. It is a global phenomenon. Let's finish today then with some Portuguese sayings and some of those lovely pictures. The mão beijada of kissed hand, to give something without asking anything in return. That's beautiful. The mão beijada, the kissed hand there. How wonderful. Não interessa nem ao menino Jesus. It doesn't matter, even to boy Jesus, when someone says something incredibly boring. Even Jesus isn't interested. That's brilliant.
He had a great talent of making him look as though he was, I suppose, didn't he? You know?
Yes, perhaps the compassion there personified, indeed. Isn't Doug a tad hot? Suit, tie, and jacket. Do you have a Victorian swimming costume with the stripes and a wooden changing booth, Doug? I think upholding high standards, Doug. That's what it's about, isn't it?
I am in a very nice, airy, breezy conservatory with all the windows open. So at the moment, it's not too bad. But if I was to come here in the afternoon, I'd probably fry. Yeah.
Yes. So there you go. I love it how you dress up for the show. I feel a little bit shabby myself. Or I dress, to make a wine joke, I dress shabbily. Or it feels like it when you're on the screen with me. So a few photos then to conclude. I assume you're happy to stay for these. We helped out when Francois explained to us that in the Alentejo, where they have their pet rescue centre, animal rescue centre, and they're looking after a few people there as well, by the sound of it. Their pump broke. They have huge vet bills. In a cost of living crisis, People are dumping their animals. They're really up against it. And a few of you put your hands in your pockets and sent them some money. We're very grateful to you. Here are the creatures that you're helping. Oh, look at that, Doug. And another little doggy there. These are young dogs, obviously, looking for homes, I suspect. A young lad there who's helping with the chickens and the ducks there. Isn't that fantastic? This lovely little pup there as well. That could be an older dog, actually, but with a puppyish face. And for those of you who prefer pussies, here we go. This little kitten here and another one. Oh, two of them asleep there. How sweet. They need your help. Valverde, check out Monday's show for that, the last half hour when we spoke to Francois. Dougie, been great fun talking to you. We've gone a little bit on longer than we would.
Talking about donations, gratefully received, just so I can buy a gallon of petrol to get my lawnmower going.
Yeah, okay. So is that like a Just Giving page where you can help Doug?
Yeah. Just buy Dougie a coffee page.
Buy Dougie a coffee page. Do you need help with butter as well over there in the UK? Did I see Leiria pack is selling for around £7 a pack?
£9 a pack if you get the 750-gram one.
£9 for a packet of butter over in the UK. Thank you for that on-the-spot report. It's a slippery slope, isn't it? The price of butter.
Slippery slope, yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. Carl Munson, who can resist such sweet puppies? I'm sure I've had that said to me before. T-shirt, the new formal wear. I wonder that isn't a T-shirt with a tie and collar drawn onto it.
This actually, the whole thing is just a T-shirt.
It's you can just take it off after the show and
just wash it all in one. Yeah.
Brilliant, Doug. So fantastic to talk to you. Thank you, everybody, this morning for your contributions and your continued diligence and care around the fire situation here in Portugal. We'll keep you abreast of that throughout the week and throughout this heat wave. And, we need to keep our eye on the ball with that for the rest of the summer, I suspect, as well. So, Dougie, thank you very much. Last word to you, my friend.
Just thank you for having me once again. And great to be with everybody. And we'll see you in about a month's time.
Marvelous. Looking forward to it already, Doug. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. See you at the meetup if you're going to be there. And ciao for now. Ciao, ciao. Hasta luego. Adios.